Welcome to episode 27 of Toastmasters Unplugged. My name is Eileen Hopkins. I'm a member of Swords Toastmasters. And this evening's episode is aptly named Rose Unplugged for reasons that we will see as we go along. Although the district conference in Tralee is well over now, this evening's episode is going to look at some of the stories, some of the fun, some of the different activities that went on behind the scene. And I'm going to begin tonight by chatting to each of our four guests. We have Linda Devlin, James Finnegan, Michael McCann, and Liam Moggan. So I'm going to start by chatting to each one of them. Then, after about roughly half an hour or so, we will have a panel discussion. All of your questions are so welcome, and I see people popping up on the screen. There's Elizabeth Jordan and Camille, our amazing photographer. So welcome everybody, and don't forget to pop your comments into the chat, and we'd love to see you all. So I'm going to start by talking to Linda Devlin. If anybody was in Tralee, you will have seen Linda's smiley face everywhere. And if you ever had a question for Linda, nothing was too much. And that was at the conference, but even before the conference, Linda was just so much a part of it. And would you believe Linda is only a member of Toastmasters a year and a bit? Am I right, Linda?
That's right, April 95.
Wow. So Linda, tell me a little bit about you. I know you're in your other life, you're trained a mediator and conflict coach. So what brought you to Toastmasters a year and a bit ago?
A year and a bit ago, yeah, a mediator and conflict coach. I've done mediation for quite a number of years now, but I decided I'd go back to college. And I was sitting in a class with everyone. It was a few years since I'd gone to college and that. And I was sitting there and I was terrified. I didn't want to speak out loud. I was waiting for other people to ask the questions. And I thought to myself, this has to end. I thought I had overcome all of those fear of speaking in public, and that I was confident and I would do things. And that really brought me back to many years ago. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to go to Toastmasters. I knew Lucan was right beside me. So I said, I'll pop up there. My son came with me because even at this age, I was nervous going in. I know I'm embarrassed to say it, but that was the reality of me. So Dara came in with me and he didn't come back. He said, no, it's not really for me, ma'am. I think you'll fit in fine, which he was right. And that's why it was just to overcome that fear of standing up and just having the confidence to ask a question.
Right. Brilliant. And like Linda, in the short time that you were in Toastmasters, like I feel I've got to know you so well, and I think everybody else would say the same. Like the different roles, like I saw you on the bus tour, you were very involved in that. What conference delegate experience chair? What has driven you to take on all these roles?
I'm one of those people that, if you get into something, I go in 100%. I'm not kind of a half-baked kind of person. And I saw different things, and I've met all these fantastic people, James and Mairead, everyone, yourself, during the bus tour. And it was like, people were saying, just say yes, just do it, go ahead and, try it. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing disastrous. And touch wood, it hasn't so far. But it was just that drive, putting myself in kind of an uncomfortable position, but knowing that it was in such a supportive environment. And knowing that people were there. Nobody wants you to fail in Toastmasters, knowing that I have come across. And that was the huge difference. No matter where you are, there's a big smile and it's like, oh, yeah, should come along, should try it. And if you don't do it, we'll give you some, good feedback and you can work on it. And that's really, I just threw myself in. And James will know on the bus tour, like, it was like, do you want to do this? I was like, nope. And then again, with encouragement, got involved with the conference and there was no stopping me. As you said, I just seemed to get everywhere.
You did, absolutely. How do you balance it all, Linda? Work, life, Toastmasters, like there's a lot to it.
Yeah. And, I was only talking to a friend of mine recently and the way, like I have two boys And I always said to them, like, find something that you just love, and then it won't feel like work. And by doing
Mm,
Toastmasters, I've had that feeling. With the conference, I love it. So you don't think of it as, it is tiring, absolutely. But when you're doing something you absolutely love, you balance it one way or the other. You make it work because you're enjoying it. And it's not a chore. It's something, and you're learning from a bit of an addicted to, learning stuff, to courses. And I found Toastmasters, and all of a sudden I had these pathways, and it was like, it's not a chore. So that's why I just, dove into everything, because it was learning every day. Every day literally is a
too.
school day for us. Even though I was a school refuser, I hated it, but it's different now because I want to be here.
Oh, exactly. And you credit Toastmasters, as you said, with helping you with speaking, with your confidence, with your self belief, and you've highlighted the power and of the encouragement and support. But tell me about your proudest Toastmaster moment.
Gosh, there's been a lot of them. I loved being the delegate lead experience, because the people I got to meet and work with, like, again, I think we were successful, not blowing my own trumpet, but there was a whole
Hmm.
team effort that we went that extra mile, and seeing the other people on the team, every one of us went the extra mile to make sure anyone that was at the conference in the Rose Hotel, that they had a good experience. And if anything went wrong, they knew we had these red scarves, so they knew who to come to with the rose t-shirt and the scarf. That you saw one of us, please come to us. And I saw people interacting. I saw, in one particular instance, Sergey was helping a gentleman who lost his phone. He left his phone in the taxi. So we
Hmm.
went, we did everything we possibly could to help him and support him. And in the end, he found it as well. So again, it was whatever happened. And I think that was probably one of the proudest moment, where we just went with it and we did what we said we were going to do. We were going to go that extra mile, and everyone on the team did that.
Lovely, lovely. And another moment that I read about when I was doing my little bit of research, and I thought it was lovely. Was it on the bus tour? A mentor of yours came to listen to you and
Oh,
get.
yes, yes. That was lovely, Esther. Esther Penny is just an absolute angel.
Hmm.
And she was assigned to me within the first couple of weeks, and I just loved her honesty, her openness, and she just said it as it was, which was absolutely brilliant, because I needed that direction. I needed someone to tell me, you'll be grand, you'll be okay. And that's what Esther always said to me, Linda, just put a big smile on, walk up there, and you're going to be wonderful. So I have the little card printed out, and I have it everywhere I go. And if I have any of that self doubt now, I'll kind of have a look at it and say, Esther says. So I said, yeah, Esther is right. So yeah, and she came along to the last, I think we were in the college the last day.
Corporate building. Yes, I met her that day. Yeah.
Building. So she was there along with Linda from the Lucan Club as well. And I was absolutely thrilled and overwhelmed, like, to see her there, that that she made the effort to get over there. So absolutely, it was fantastic.
And I suppose from that, what follows for me is if you saw a new member walking into Toastmasters and they're terrified and they're keeping their head down, like I was, I know when I started, what would you say to them? Or what advice would you give them?
What I would say is just keep coming back. Now, it took me for the topics master, the topic table topics, it must have taken me about 6 months to actually go and do it. So, what I would say is, if you can, put your hand up and just say a few words, even on the first or second meeting, but just keep coming back. If you're not interested, if you don't want to do it, there's always that pass.
Hmm.
Nobody is ever under pressure to say something, but I would encourage maybe people to try their best to say it and get over that hurdle. Because I think the sooner you do it, the first night I read a poem, the second night I did something else, but that was my kind of piece that I couldn't get over, that impromptu speaking. So it was like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But anyone that can master that, and I've seen people do it. We saw it, at the contest, and are absolutely amazing, wonderful people. So I would say, just don't give up, keep going. We've just set up a Mediators Institute of Ireland Toastmasters Club. So most people there, they're brand new to it. So again, I'm just encouraging them. We had a demo meeting, which some of the Toastmasters here today were involved in it as well, including your good self. And that was brilliant. So that's what I just keep saying to them. Just don't give up. We'll create our own environment. We'll make sure that is very supportive, and we'll just keep going and we'll just keep building it.
Lovely, Linda. And you know, anybody who goes to Lucan Toastmasters, your home club, or meets you anywhere, will be very lucky to meet you at the start of their journey. And Linda, it's been a joy to speak to you. And I think for you all, you can see what a fantastic example Linda is of how Toastmasters helps people to grow in confidence, in leadership, in communication. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you,
And
Eileen.
next up from the green room, I'd like to invite James Finnegan. And there is James. Now, for anybody who may not know James, let me start by giving him a little invitation. As well as being the conference chair at this year's Rose Conference, James is a husband, a father, a grandfather, a writer, an actor, community activist, and soon to be TEDx speaker, rumor has it. James has a background in coach, tutor, and referee education, training and development with UEFA, the Football Association of England and Ireland, and coaching at all levels. James, Stephen Covey once said, if you want to get a job done, give it to a busy man. How on earth do you fit everything, including Toastmasters, into your busy life?
Thank you, Eileen, for that wonderful introduction. It does sound a lot when you put it all together like that, but fortunately I have a very understanding family and a very understanding wife who is only too delighted to see me go out and about. And she said, the only trouble is you keep coming back. So no, I like no more than your good self. I like to get involved. As Linda said just a few moments ago, if she's involved in something, she's involved in it 100%. And I would have a similar type of attitude. Let's go, let's do it. And that's why I was able to get such a wonderful team together to put this conference on. Each and every one of them are doers. They don't stand back. If a table needs to be moved, they just move it. If anything needs to be done, they just do it. They don't need to be told. They're a wonderful, wonderful team, and they are the people responsible for the success of this conference.
And you, James?
I tried to get out of the way where possible and let them at it. But truly, I said to them right at the start, if anything goes well in this conference, it's down to you. If anything goes wrong, that's my fault. And to be fair now, I found out subsequently that they kept a whole pile of stuff away from me. But also, I had their backs and they knew that. So it was perhaps the first time in an awfully long time that I had the joy of working with a team of all the talents and a team of all equals.
Whoa, a team of all the talents and of all equals. And I see a lovely comment popping in there from Elizabeth Jordan. DTM, James Finnegan was a brilliant conference chair. So there you are, James.
Thank you, Elizabeth. The money's in the post.
Ooh, very good, very good. James, you served on the club, area, division, and further over the years. How have all those roles helped to prepare you for taking on the role of conference chair this year, or have they?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. As you know, Eileen, I have some experience of organizing festivals and tournaments and conferences at every level, from local to international. What I would say is that I didn't imagine that this conference would take so much time. I looked at my diary when you kindly invited me to, and Olga kindly invited me to do this production. From October, when we were asked to put the conference on, to the week after the conference, and even the weeks after the conference, I'd taken 3 days off where there were no conference activities. There was Christmas Day and 2 days when I was having some stents replaced. So I had to take the time off then. And Christmas, well, you know, Christmas is Christmas. But honestly, to put that on in so short a time, I really needed an excellent team around me, and I had an excellent team around me, and that is why it worked.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
not only the Toastmaster team, but also the people around in Tralee, friends and relatives like Mary Clinton and the Maguire, Peter and Thomas Maguire, Brian McCarthy from my old FAI days, and Heather McCann, Michael's daughter, who was doing event management. And she needed experience. I said, come along, I'll give her experience. And Brian Carr, whom you know from your TEDx Tralee days, the singing chef, the singing chef. And I was quite very restrictive of who knew what was going to happen. Nobody did, not even poor Olga and Linda, who were the wonderful MCs at the gala dinner. I lied to them to their face and said, look, just go with the flow here, but this fella's going back to Italy and he wants to say goodbye. And bless their hearts, they gave him a big introduction, and he came out, and I just watched everyone, including, I might say, your esteemed good self, who climbed up on the table.
No, not quite. It wasn't that bad.
You were swinging the serviette around like there was no tomorrow. It was like Italia 90 all over again.
But you know, James, one of the things that struck me down in Tralee, like Ralph Smedley's words, that Ralph Smedley is the founder of Toastmasters, said we learn best in moments of enjoyment. At the Rose Conference, there were smiles, there were laughs all around, everywhere for the weekend. But the thing is, and I was struck by it, we don't see all that goes on behind the scenes. As you said, the fires you're probably putting out, the different pressures along the way. Was there a funny moment, James? I'm sure there was some.
There was so much fun, so many funny moments. Some which I can now talk about with the benefit of distance. One, and I'm glad you said what you said, because that was very much one of our aims. People have to have fun.
Yeah.
That was built into every part of the weekend and more. I do remember one delegate inquiring whether his $2.50 ticket included accommodation. I had to deal with a wonderful rumor that I ignored at first, but it took legs. A rumor went around that we were bringing in a Canadian band to do the gala dinner, and that just went off on a chat. And in the I just no, we're not. I said, besides, Michael Bublé already had an engagement for that weekend and couldn't come. So no, yeah, we used local people wherever we could. I don't think people realize, and again, this is down to Michael, who took on the finance director role. It's all very well to put these things on, but it has to wash its face. It has to pay. We just asked to break even. I think we made a slight profit, but you can't go wild. There's a delicate budget that has to be kept, maintained, and Michael, to be fair, and with the great help of Will Carney, the district treasurer, we were very tight on costs, very tight on prices, but we had plenty of fun. I mean, you mentioned the walking tour already, the fancy dress, the members of District 71 came up with the theme. There was all the different things. all the different events, all the different workshops and panels and learning opportunities, all the awards. Recognition rocks, and we did that continuously throughout the whole weekend. And bless her heart, it was Olga Kutnova who came up with the theme of the conference, to let your confidence bloom. And I think we lived up to that one as well. So all in all, we did the best we could.
That and a lot more, James. That and a lot more. We will catch up again at the panel discussion at the end. Thank you so much, James. I'm looking here at all our guests. I see Anthony Garvey saying hello and telling us what how great the conference was. Anthony was very quiet at the conference, as is Anthony's style. But it was great to see him. Elizabeth is there, Camille talking about Linda, and he says, was such a calming presence during the bus tour and such a wonderfully positive influence during the conference. Such a pleasure to work with. There you go, Linda. And apologies now if I don't get to all the comments, but I'll check in and out with them. Now, next, could we ask Michael McCann to join us? Michael. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome, all the way from Navan, County Meath. Michael took on many roles at the conference. He was co-chair, technical lead, finance chair, and I would reckon a lot more. Michael, you wore many hats for the conference. Was there a favourite hat?
I wasn't favourite hat per se. I think my favourite part was working with the team. Like, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of, it was a lot of long hours, a lot of meetings. But it definitely wasn't easy. And, we had a lot of things we had to deal with. It was like the swan going or a duck going along. It's fine on the surface, and underneath we're just we're paddling away trying to get everything done. I think the other part was we didn't have the full year. It was basically, we had 2 weeks to put the whole thing together. The initial proposal, 2 weeks to put the whole thing together, get the website together, get all the teams stood up, and then basically get it moving. But I suppose the highlight for me was actually just working, with a core team, an extended team. I was working with them, and I have to say, I know James has mentioned already, but the delegate, the conference experience was something we hadn't done before. I think this is where Linda and the Olgas, that they brought an awful lot to the table there, because we changed the focus and say, okay, let's look at it from the point of view of the delegates. What do they want? Let's see what we can do. Try and keep within budget, but what are all the different things that we can do? What are the, things we haven't done before? Just because they haven't been done before, let's introduce new things. I think that made a big difference. I think was trying to focus on the delegate experience and focus more on what are the additional things that we can do. Like you mentioned the walk. You mentioned, the ukulele sessions, the singing chef, all these things that we've never done before. Yeah. And it wasn't a case of, well, why not? I think, so I think what I really enjoyed was not specifically a role, but it was really working with that team. And, for me, I think I've made, when you've been in that situation, stressful situation over a number of months, you make really good friends. And I think I've made friends for life with a number of people on the conference team. So I think that was my highlight.
Yeah, and even as you say that, the words, Stephen Covey, his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the one is, if one of them, begin with the end in mind. It seems like a lot of what you did, you began with the end in mind. You were thinking of the overall delegate experience, like you began with that and worked from that.
Well, I think there's 2 parts of that. Yeah, I think there's 2 parts to that. One is we had a team that had basically done a number of conferences before, so, Gillian and David Clinton and, numerous other had been part, and, even to have Elizabeth Jordan and other people involved in it, and they'd all been involved in other conferences. So you had a lot of experience coming into that. But I think what Linda and Julian did specifically was start focusing on, the delegate experience, which we, they have to take the credit for that. I can't take the credit for that. What we had was a lot of experience in the team of what's worked before and what hasn't worked before. And that became a kind of guiding principle of what we wanted to do.
Yeah. And like, I suppose even for me being down there, like there was so much, you were constantly on the go. If you got up early, if you got up late, you were always running around in your lovely shirts as you're sporting tonight, Michael. But when it was all over, I know for me, when I do something busy and when it's over, I need to decompress. So tell me how you decompressed when it was all over.
Well, this was actually the first event of a number of events that I was actually kind of involved in and hosting. So I think on the Sunday we took time to decompress, but I was basically, I was hosting a number of events. So I do talks on AI, I do client talks, and I was the following week, a week's rest, and then I was hosting an event in DC. The following week, then same week I was in New York. Then I was over to San Francisco and hosted an event there and in Palo Alto, and then came back. The following week I had an event two events in London, an event in Frankfurt, and then last week I was in Berlin. So I literally have been hosting events and doing stuff, pretty much nearly every week since the conference. So this is actually the first week where I'm not doing anything. So. And I can kind of relax. So to be honest with you, I've been on the go for quite a while.
Do you attribute Toastmasters to all those, or to any of those opportunities, or talk me through that?
I would say 100%. And I was just going to add that point. If I wasn't a Toastmaster, I wouldn't be doing this. And it's I get up and I'll try to do my best presentation, put my best Toastmaster, forward. But you can tell people that are not Toastmasters. You can, they get up and they read off their notes and all this type of stuff, and it's just, it's not as professional. They're not engaging the crowd, and they're just trying to get their message across, but they're not really effective communicators. So that's what I found is, Toastmasters give me a lot of skills that I'm, using now. But you can tell the difference between people that don't do public speaking or don't have that background or haven't done it before. You can tell, and the big difference is when you're engaged, you really engage the audience when you're using all of your Toastmaster skills. It's something, that was the whole reason I joined Toastmasters in the first place, was I had to go and do these big presentations or stand up, online is fine, but when you have to do it live in front of an audience, it's quite difficult, and that's why I joined Toastmasters. But also, at the event, I also hosted a business lunch for the sponsors. So that was something different that we did. We pushed a lot of sponsorship, and we got a lot of sponsorship to try and offset some of the costs here to make sure that we make sure that we weren't in the red, and that we were able to put on some additional pieces that without the sponsorship, we wouldn't have been able to afford it. So I think that was quite good. And then subsequently for that, I've been asked to do other speaking engagements. Because of people that were at that business lunch said, "Will you come and talk to us?" There was a showcase event in Meath. A couple of weeks ago, I basically went and spoke at that. About 250 people there. So the point is, if you weren't a Toastmaster, you wouldn't be doing this thing. And I think the big thing I've been doing is just saying yes. Someone say, "Will you do it? Will you do this event? Will you talk at it? Will you do it?" Just say yes, and then afterwards I go, "Oh my God, why did I say yes to that?" But you're challenging yourself. You're taking yourself out of that. And that's what being a Toastmaster is all about.
And there is that theme even this evening, I think James mentioned it, Linda, and yourself, about the power of saying yes. Michael, I'm really glad you did say yes. You did a great job, and thank you so much. We'll come back to you at the panel discussion. And now, can I now welcome up Liam Moggan. Liam, another fella joining me from Meath. And Liam, you're on dodgy ground here. You're a non-Toastmaster blessed art thou among Toastmasters, should I say?
That's for sure. I'm a Toastmaster newbie. I'm a Toastmaster virgin, whatever you want to call it. But I think that added to my experience in Tralee in that other than James and Anthony might have referred to it earlier, Anthony's a past pupil of mine. They were the only two people I could have said beforehand that I knew. And I thought I knew that Toastmasters was about people standing up and presenting. Now, I saw it was partly that. But the way my wife and I were welcomed in by everybody, it wasn't just that they had a name tag and you could spot a name, but the eye contact, the smiles, the international dimension of it. It was, I mentioned in an article that it was wonderful, and it was full of wonder, the variety, the pleasantness. It didn't seem there was. Michael refers to the panic underneath. Yeah, there was no evidence of that. It just seemed to roll. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's so true. And just for anyone who doesn't know Liam, let me briefly, I jumped in with that question, Liam, but I'd better give you a little introduction. Liam likes to humbly call himself the coach's coach, but there's a lot more than that to Liam. Widely regarded in sporting circles as the godfather of coaching and coach education in Ireland. Described by many as an inspirational leader, Liam's legacy has left an enormous imprint on the Irish coach education landscape. There's a guy, you mightn't have heard of him, Liam, he's called Romero, and he describes having a positive influence on someone's life as a blessing. And I gather, Liam, you were greatly influenced by somebody in your life, your grandfather. I even heard about him today when you were trying to sort out this technology. And the rumor is that every coach on every one of your training courses became familiar with your grandfather from Clunaglash. Oh God, somewhere in Galway. You go with the rest.
That's right. Yeah. I suppose. I am blessed. My job at the Coaching Ireland in Limerick got me to face a huge challenge. Presentation was part of it. I was challenged myself to present, and I was training people to present. But the biggest challenge of all, I was dealing with really passionate, committed volunteers in many cases, people who spent a lifetime in their sport and had now committed to serving the coach education system in their sport. So my challenge was immense in that rather than, let's say, when I was teaching Anthony and the like in school, and I'm not personalizing it totally, the challenge would be when I'd be in front of the class. Here, the challenge was really before I stood in front of people. So I was blessed to no challenge, no change. I had to change very quickly because the whole idea of coach education is to change behavior. And I did feel blessed with the people I have met and the opportunity that it gave me. While at the same time, there were many nights you'd be up all night, you'd be tearing your hair out, facing the challenge of the constant change that you were looking for. Yeah.
And you always emphasize the importance of developing the person before the coach through, I think you talk about the continual cycle of learning. In your time with us down at the Rose Conference in Tralee, can you see how that analogy could be applied to new people joining Toastmasters?
Very much so, Eileen. I suppose if I deal back to some of the things that I'd have been mentioning on the tutor courses, the coach education courses, I would divide a person's continuum to be a private self, which they can keep private. You know, you mightn't even share it with close partners or whatever. There's the personal, which you can choose to go and share as much as sharing about hobbies or stories or work. But then there's the public self. Now, the exposure of that public self is, there's a challenge to it. We mentioned that. For an expectation that we do things. But you can always retreat back into your personal. And people need to be helped and trained to meet that public need. Michael referred to it. I had presentations to make. The ones Zoom were okay. So I think helping people to be able to face the challenges that happen in the public sphere the personal person they might sing in the shower. It's pitch perfect, it's word perfect, but publicly come down and sing in the local pub or whatever is completely different. And all sport is about helping people improve. The sport is really just an add-on. We help people become better people who play sport. We help people we serve people who serve. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Liam, when are you going to join Toastmasters?
Oh, a person who faces challenge. Well, that's a very direct question. I don't know.
I'm very direct.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, to be honest, Eileen. I loved the weekend. My wife loved the weekend. We met nearly everybody left a mark. You mentioned a humorous incident there. After Brian Carr, the singing chef, he joined us. He joined us at our table, and the English lady beside us told him about what he had just missed. She didn't know it was him. So I'm hedging it. I help people present or get out in public most times. I haven't thought about it, but I certainly wouldn't dismiss it by any means. And if I
after hearing your talk down in Tralee, I think you would have a lot to offer, and we would love to have you. Absolutely, Liam. What's next for you, Liam?
I don't know. I say now as a joke, Eileen, and well, it's taken up as a joke that I'm not busy, but I'm occupied. I was away last week. This week, I'm meeting a lot of coaches. I'm meeting a lot of athletes. I'll be speaking to a team before the week is over. I'm lucky in that I become occupied in some planned way sometimes, and sometimes it can pop up. Coaches or athletes or workers or people doing interviews or relationship problems or something, they very seldom get in contact with me when things are going well. So I try to serve. I try to offer whatever kind of help that I can, you know. But just now, I'm sharing. Last week I was away. I was at an Andre Rieu concert in Maastricht.
Oh, lovely!
Yeah, lovely. And I've always wanted to go, and it was amazing. But I've noticed I hope not boring people, telling them of my experience over there. It's only now I realized I didn't tell them anything about the music that was played, which was beautiful, and they were popular and they were well known. But I haven't mentioned that at all. What I mentioned was the enjoyment, the care, the attention, the surroundings, the friendliness of people. And then there was a concert. And it really mirrors for me what the Toastmasters was. There were activities. There was the gala dinner, there was the presentations, the ukulele, there was a poetry workshop, and all these people that you met throughout the day. And that made a big mark on me. It really did. I'm not just saying it.
It was, yeah. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on the chat here. And Camille, who you would have met down in Tralee, the lovely Camille, has set you a challenge. He said he'd love to hear an icebreaker from you. Liam, the icebreaker is the very first speech we do when we join Toastmasters, and it's about introducing yourself to the audience and telling a little bit about yourself. So Camille has suggested that an icebreaker by Liam would be amazing. There you go.
Yeah, sometimes I use from my own experience, Eileen, I have found that sometimes icebreakers can be ice makers. And I went to a conference in Dublin delivered by a high-profile American guy who got us all to hug each other, hug the person beside you. And of course, we didn't do it properly, and he demonstrated a hug. And at the first break, there were men in the toilets needing counselling care. We hugged each other so much. Thank you.
Oh, I should have been there, so. Liam, it is an absolute pleasure, and we will join you again now in a couple of minutes for the panel discussion. It was a pleasure to meet you in Tralee, and a pleasure to have you here. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you very much,
Now,
Eileen. Thanks.
Can I ask for all of our guests to come in from the green room, and we're going to have a chat. And for any of our audience, if you have any questions or any comments for any or for all of our guests, please put them in the chat and I will endeavour to ask them. What I'm going to start with, just for, I think I asked it of Liam there now, for each of you, maybe I'll start with Linda. What next? What next for you, Linda?
What's next? As I said earlier on, creating the Toastmasters Club for the Mediators Institute of Ireland. So that's what's next for me. It's so exciting. It's brilliant. Assigned a mentor, Mary Manning. So really looking forward to working with her. And the other volunteering side is that we have a conference coming up, and I'm the conference lead, with an absolutely brilliant team. And that's coming up on the 9th and 10th of October. So there's a lot going on in the volunteer world. And then, of course, I have my real job.
Lovely. Wow, that is a lot. And Michael, if I was to ask the same of you, and I know we touched on it, what's next for you?
So I think, work-wise, I got a number of events in September and October, but from a Toastmaster point of view, what I'm looking to do is I want to finish my DTM. So one of the things you can do is to start a club. So I'm going to follow Linda's lead. I'm going to set up an AI and Tech Talk Club. So that will be the name of it. Going to launch it this week. So, but yeah, so what I wanted to do an advanced club where we could actually start looking at, doing more talking about, AI, having it like a cloud, like an AI native club. So a lot of automation behind it. So, it would basically be, I would like to set something up where it can be not just a club, but also a community. So we could do public speaking, like into the community, talk about AI, address some of the fears, teach people how to use it, etc. So starting off as a club and then maybe turning it into some kind of community then longer term. So that's from a Toastmaster point of view. And then I'm going to help out with some of the other roles as well. Maybe consultant for next year. I'm going to take a break. I won't be doing the conference next year. I need to take a break. It's been, what was it? 3 conferences in the last 4 years. I'm going to take a break for a year, so hopefully not taking on any other roles.
And just as you're talking there, Michael, at the end of the conference, like when it's all over and when you get a chance to reflect and look at what went well, what could have maybe gone a bit better, what you could do different the next time. Do you have a process for handing that over to the next year's conference?
It's not a formal process of handover, but what we did is we did a survey directly afterwards. We had a number of kind of follow-up meetings, like on the TCM meeting, on the overall conference, and then we'd had like a debrief afterwards where we'd all get together, get on a call, and say, well, what went well, what can we do better? And then we take all the results of the survey, analyze them, and then pass it on to the DLT for next year. So that's a kind of, you got that kind of transition. We have done that in the past where we've done like a debrief afterwards and made that available. But
right.
Just one other thing was kind of related to the conference. One of our Toastmasters, Pat Foley, she's been a Toastmaster for 40 years. And she went to the conference, 2 of the ladies from the club went to the conference, and they really, really enjoyed it. And it was, she said she learned how to play the ukulele, and she really loved it. She loved, the walk and all these other activities. So it wasn't just the kind of, sticking to the norm. It was, thinking of things that can really engage the audience. Now, again, credit to Linda, Gillian, and the team for coming up with all of these ideas, and for the committee that looked after, all these other activities. But, I think that was, that was a big plus. Was she says that she's been going to conferences for nearly 40 years, and this one was a standout one for her. Meeting Liam, meeting Becky, things that we haven't done before, and so I think that was the standout for me.
Lovely. Thanks, Michael. I'm afraid to ask James what's next for him, because every time I talk to him, he has 10 or 20 new things in the pipeline. James, what's next?
What's next indeed? What's next is that I pay full credit to the people who put this together. We haven't named them all yet, so I'm going to do it now. It's David Clinton, Gillian Geraghty, Olga Kudnova, Olga Byrne, there in the background of the Unplugged, Elizabeth Jordan, Peter Kiernan. I want to thank the Rose Hotel, the staff, the management, Mark, Aisling and Jennifer. I want to thank the DLT and the officers of the district who supported us and helped us. And Norma Foley, I think it's the first time we've had a serving government minister speak at the conference. We tried lots of different things. We're delighted that everyone's enjoyed it. We're delighted. We enjoyed it now looking back and relaxing and beginning. And what we will do, we will have a team get together because this team deserves to sign off properly. And as you can see, the work continues. Linda is going off doing her mediator club. Michael is setting up an AI club, which I would believe is probably the first in the world, not only in the district, but the first in the world. So what I've said to them is that if there is anything I can do for them, I am their guy. But may I particularly thank Liam Moggan, who walked into the Lion's Den, along with Paki Bonner, without whom their speeches were inspirational. And I got so much flack. Why, they're not Toastmasters. I said, yes, exactly. They are not Toastmasters. And what did they say? They said exactly the same things as we talk about. They talked about core values. They talked about integrity. They talked about family. They talked about developing the person that develops the club, that develops the team, that develops the league and all around them. And so many people, I'm just looking at a list here of a pile of names. All I can say is thank you, everyone who played any part whatsoever, even if it was a negative, because we all need to learn. All feedback is positive.
Yeah.
But to Liam, to Paki, to Roger Caesar, who came back. Why is Roger Caesar coming back? Because he's good. Because he's the best at what we want. Why do we ask Liam Moggan? Because he's the best at what he does. And why do we ask Paki Bonner? Just to give all the ladies an opportunity, and actually most of the men, to come up and hug him. See, Liam, it's contagious.
There you go. Lovely, James.
And Linda was brilliant. Linda said, what is a conference delegate liaison? I said, I don't know, but we're going to find out. And when I saw how they worked before the conference, and then they went up another couple of gears when the first delegates came in. I think you know what a delegate experience lead is now, Linda.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam, I know, Michael, you want to get in, but Liam, just a question for you. As a coach, with your coaching background, is there any words of advice you might give that would help the next conference team based on what you experienced in Tralee?
Okay, well, at its core, Eileen, and it resonates what James said. I describe coaching one sentence, but 3 words. It's about helping people develop social skills by interacting with others. Now, that is at the heart of helping communities, helping people to share, helping people to release their personality, and helping overcome a lot of the social problems that a lot of the pace of society is now developing, about loneliness, about isolation, and all the various add-ons that can cause. I would be loath to offer advice other than do more of what works well, and you're able to do that. It's very easy to flip sometimes, to concentrate on doing less of what you don't do well. What I saw and what I heard is you have people and challenge at the core. And I think keeping that will allow us reach out to people like Michael, because I spoke to him and heard his presentation. There's a massive world out there of AI that can help us or serve us or offer us, as long as we control that service. But it can also take over and help isolate people and help push them aside. So I think you're one of the great opportunities that people have, where they can expect to be at the center and allow them to walk tall, walk straight, and look the world right in the eye, like sometimes, and I'll finish with this, but sometimes you really need to assess and see what it is you do very well, and simply keep doing it. So that'd be my advice. I have attended a lot of conferences. There've been a lot of weekend events, but I came away enthralled and moved in a good way from Tralee.
Thank you for that, Liam. Michael, you had your hand up there again. Come on in.
I think one point for me is we're always learning, and we're always learning. And I learned something from Liam, and what I learned from Liam was a lot of the times I do very structured notes and detailed notes. What Liam has is like a mind map with key notes on it. It's the entire speech. And I don't know, Liam, you still have that. But I learned an awful lot from the way Liam did.
This is my mind map. I do it the whole time too.
But, what I really liked, and I know Liam, we spoke straight afterwards, and I was really impressed. The structure of your speech and the way it flows, and then he basically showed me the map that he has. And that's what he uses for all of his speeches. I learned from that, going away now from the more structured approach and having it more like a mind map and having everything on one page, rather than kind of just the bulleted points I used to use. So we're always learning. And that's what I think it's, once we continue to learn and practice by doing these things, but that, I have to say thank you to Liam as well. Fantastic speech. And, I learned a lot by talking to you guys afterwards as well, yourself and Packy. So thank you so much for that.
And Michael, Elizabeth Jordan has a question.
Thank you, Michael.
There.
Thanks very much.
She wants to know, Michael, did you use AI to help with delivering this successful conference? If so, how did you use it? So
we used AI for the website. We basically had to stand on the website in a week. So we used AI to help us to set up the website, help us to design the logos, like this stuff here. It won't do it all for you, but it gives you a good head start. It won't create everything for you. It won't. But we use it extensively during the conference. We had ticketing. We had a ticketing system that was integrated. We had a label printers that we used it to design logos. We used it to design the labels. We used it quite a bit. We used it to do analysis. We used it to do the draw. Was all automated. You basically you take all the tickets, you put them in, and you basically run the draw. And that was designed using AI to do it. So we used it quite a bit, and that's what allowed us to kind of to get a lot of automation done very, very quickly. And then we could focus on the other items, which were more focused on the delegates, and that's what it's about. There was quite a bit we used, and hopefully we learn from that as well. Next year we reuse some of this technology so we're not reinventing the wheel every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. James, a question for you from Camille. What advice would you have for people who are thinking of getting involved in organising an event as big as the Rose Conference, but they have no experience in dealing with anything of that size?
Well, thank you, Camille, for the question, and thank you for all the work you did at the conference too. We now have the evidence of what happened thanks to your photographs, and also Brian Green as well. Fair play to you as all. And of course, Olga again, directing things from behind the scenes. I would say do it. I would say yes. Surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with experience. But also don't be afraid to bring in people like Linda and like Olga Kudnova, who are only in Toastmasters a short while, because what they have is a laser sharp eye. They say, why? Why do you do it that way? Why can't you do it this way? Don't forget there are people in Toastmasters who organize things in their day job. So utilize that experience. Planning, planning, planning. But I think, Camille, you have the right attitude. We saw you during the bus tour. We saw you involved in a couple of the stops. Do not be afraid to ask for help. You see the names up here. You've got the names in the program. I think go for it. Go for it. You'll have fun.
Lovely.
Just add one point to that. If you want to do larger events, it's about building a strong team. You don't try and do it all yourself. Build a strong team and basically encourage and develop the people that are around you. And that's how you deliver on larger events. It's a team event.
Mm-hmm.
And just to give you all a heart attack, Anthony Garvey has suggested that as there is no location mentioned yet for the 2027 conference, is the remote possibility Tralee might be in the frame. Okay, big deep breaths, everyone. Who wants to take that one?
So I think they're still taking submissions until the end of August. So if Anthony Garvey wants to host an event there again, he can put that submission through.
There you go, Anthony. Now, I hope that's loud and clear for you.
I just want to say that Anthony is the person responsible for me joining Toastmasters. So be careful when you answer his questions.
But who in the name of God taught him in school that he got
Exactly.
No, Liam Morgan, what did you do?
It's funny, Anthony hasn't changed in personality a single bit from the time we started. Not a bit. I would have recognized him in appearance and personality anywhere. He created magic on the corridor. It wasn't always called magic, but when he was on the corridor, you knew he was on the corridor.
Very good. So we're sadly, everybody, on that note, we are coming to the end. And honestly, I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation, for the fun, for the discussions, for the laughs. I've learned so much even listening to you now and from each of you. The next episode of the Toastmasters Unplugged, which is called Why I Said Yes, and it's all the guests are area director, not you, James. You've said yes too many times. And it will be held on Tuesday, the 28th of July. There is an episode, She Speaks, which was supposed to be on the 31st of July, but they're rescheduling that, and the district socials will have updates on that. Last word from everybody. One word as we finish. How are you doing? Liam.
I'm thinking back on so much that happened on the weekend and so many of the people that I met. It has reactivated all of that. And there's a quote from John McGahern that I like. He says, the best of life is lived quietly, where nothing happens but the calm journey through the day, where change is imperceptible and the precious life is everything. Now, we are all about change. And that weekend, things were happening at an imperceptible way. And I love that. Suddenly you could see improvement, you could see challenge and all that. I know I've gone on about it, but I love that. There was the mix of hard work, nice and easy.
Lovely. Thank you. Linda, what's your final word or two or three?
Yeah, mine is diversity and inclusion. Absolutely brilliant. The team that we had were so diverse from different parts of Europe, and that absolutely brilliant. And I should have mentioned I'm also part of International Voices, so we're all over the world as well. So that's my favorite piece, is that it brings so many people from different backgrounds and everyone is included and everyone is welcomed, which is fantastic.
Lovely. And Michael, your parting words.
Leadership, teamwork, and hospitality. The leadership that James showed throughout the conference, The team was amazing, and the hospitality was unbelievable. There's so many stories we could have told today about the hospitality that we got in Tralee. So maybe, Anthony, we in a couple of years' time we may come back.
Lovely. Thank you, Michael. And finally, from James, our conference director. What are you?
I'm going to keep it to one word, Eileen. It's gratitude. Gratitude to everyone and for everything. Sinead.
Well done. Well done. And can I just, as we're just finishing, can I say a big thank you to Olga Byrne, hiding away in the green room, but the stalwart behind all this and keeping us all in tow. Thank you so much, Olga. Thank you all very much. Until we meet again, Slán agus Banach.
Well done, folks.